Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure unto the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. I'm going to start it off in Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 12, verse 3. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And those keepers of the house are going into, these economists out here on Wall Street, pundits on the news, you name it, that look at the economic numbers and, give updates on them. And as I said, the keepers of the house shall tremble. If you just go to a lot of these economists now, they're signaling the warning signs about the U.S. economy, about recessions, inflations, job losses, etc., which plays into the next part. And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders or the workers cease, because they are few. And why would they be few and cease? Because there are no jobs out here, and job losses taking place. Businesses shutting down. Verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. Businesses shutting down, or what? Things like AI and automation, closing the doors to flesh and blood people. When the sound of the grinding or working is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And I opened up the video with these verses to preface this article, which is a repost from newsbreak.com, but it's from www.thedailyOverview.com, titled 60% of U.S. companies brace for layoffs as the economy suddenly shifts. Hey, when they that look out of the windows be darkened, dark, times ahead for the United States of America and for the workers, all the way from white collar jobs to blue collar jobs. It's about to see 2026 is going to be a even more, troubling year for you Americans. You thought 2025 was bad? Hey, just wait and see. But it reads, corporate America is heading into 2026 with a chill in the air. 6 in 10 employers, so over 50%, now say they expect to cut staff as the economy shifts from a hiring boom to a period of caution, restructuring, and automation. The grinders cease because they are few. The headline number is stark, but the story behind it is even more complicated, blending genuine economic uncertainty with a strategic reset in how companies use people and technology. Instead of a classic recession, executives are preparing for something stronger, steady output with fewer workers. That mix is already visible in the data and in high-profile job cuts, and it is reshaping how I think about job security, career planning, and what growth really means in the United States of America. And where we're going, all that is going to be a moot point. It doesn't matter how expansive your portfolio is. The elites have already decided to liquidate the United States of America, crash that US dollar and bring in that new system, that digital system, where everybody's ultimately going to have a micro C-hip implant in them, which is the MARK of the beast in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 18. And, I watched a video the other day that a brother posted by Gerald Celente, an economist who's been reporting on the continual decline of the United States of America for decades at this point. Again, when the keepers of the house shall tremble, because when you go into what the etymology of the word economy means, it means housekeeping. And he's been signaling the alarm and saying that, look, We're not just in for another great recession, we're in for another great depression, but the greatest depression. And then you can see that, gold prices are going up and silver prices are going up. And some more economists said that if, silver reaches around, I think they said 140 to 150, which I believe it's at 80 or 90 right now, all hell's going to break loose. So we have to wait and see. But regardless, we can see all the warning signs are flashing in the red. The survey behind the 60% layoff warning, the figure that 6 in 10 employers are bracing for layoffs is not a guess. It comes from a structured survey of corporate leaders about their 2026 plans. And last year in 2025, you saw the highest layoffs on record of workers, I believe in the United States of America, at 1.8 or 1.9 million. The research found that companies are planning layoffs due to economic uncertainty when those that look out of the windows be darkened, with executives explicitly linking their downsizing expectations to worries about growth, inflation, and policy. The same work reported that hiring has also slowed, with a total of 9% of firms already pulling back, which helps explain why the labor market can feel weaker even before the bulk of job cuts arrive. A separate data point reinforces how widespread the mindset has become. Another analysis found that 6 in 10 companies plan to lay off employees in 2026 amid economic uncertainty, and that half of the companies have cut back on hiring, with 41% reducing open roles or slowing replacement of departures. By the time leaders are both planning layoffs and freezing recruitment, they are not just trimming fat, they are repositioning their organization for a leaner future, and workers are right to read that as a structural shift rather than a passing scare. From mass layoffs to jobless expansion, the survey expectations are already visible on the ground. A wave of job cuts has rolled through big employers, with major companies entering 2026 with mass layoffs already underway. Industries facing the sharpest cuts include manufacturing, where factories are adjusting to weaker orders and new automation. I thought, Nero 47 ran on the platform of bringing manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., which is all BS. He's just another puppet for the elites, and he's all for automation and AI. Remember Project Stargate, $500 billion to build up the AI infrastructure in the United States of America, and he was surrounded by people like who? Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, and Elon Musk, big heads in the AI, and digital, field. And so, like, this article is a little janky. Industries facing the sharpest cuts include manufacturing, where factories are adjusting to weaker orders and new automation, and white-collar services, where client demand has shifted and firms are consolidating teams. So like I said earlier, at all levels, from the white-collar jobs to the blue-collar jobs. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 15. And when you read it, it says it's speaking about Egypt, but it's really speaking about spiritual Egypt as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8, the United States of America. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, America, which the head, white-collar jobs, or tail, blue-collar jobs, branch, or rush may do. And, of course, you always see companies laying off your average blue-collar workers, but you saw a lot of companies in 2025. I believe Amazon was one of them that laid off tens of thousands of their corporate sector, white-collar positions. When a large household name cuts thousands of roles at once, it sends a signal far beyond the people directly affected, encouraging smaller employers to follow suit. So again, head or tail, branch or rush, bigger companies all the way down to the middle and mom and pop companies. Those headlines sit on top of a broader trend. Through October, nearly 1.1 million Americans had been laid off in 2025, a jump of 65% from the same period a year earlier, with cost-cutting and restructuring cited as primary motives. That surge in layoffs, documented in one analysis of job losses, helps explain why a top economist, a keeper of the house, recently described the current pattern as a jobless expansion in which output and profits hold up but hiring stalls. In that assessment, the latest jobs data show an economy that can't generate jobs, a gut punch for the middle class, which is used to seeing employment rise whenever growth does, and a warning that 60% layoff plans are part of a deeper break with past cycles. AI, reorganization, and the new layoff logic. Behind the numbers, the logic of layoffs is changing. In earlier downturns, companies tended to cut staff when revenue fell or credit dried up. Now executives are also using a period of economic uncertainty as cover to accelerate automation and redesign how work is done. One detailed report on workforce plans in 2026 found that artificial intelligence and company reorganization will be driving layoffs, with leaders explicitly linking redundancies to digital transformation, new software, and process redesign. In that analysis, artificial tools are not a side note. They are central to how managers justify shrinking teams while promising shareholders higher productivity. And, Elon Musk just recently said, robots are going to be they're going to see a big push in 2026. And he was even mentioning how you're eventually going to see robot surgeons that are going to do it better than any human surgeon could ever do. Again, no work for Egypt, whether head or tail, branch or rush may do. And AI and automation is going to play a major part in it. Another slice of the same research published in Jan quoted one expert saying that companies are laying off in order to fund transformation and efficiency, not just to survive a slump. That framing matters because it means some of the jobs being cut will not come back, even if growth reaccelerates. When a back office function is automated or merged into a shared service hub, the old roles disappear permanently, and the next hiring wave will focus on different skills entirely. I see that as the quiet revolution inside the 60% statistic, a shift from cyclical layoffs to strategic workforce redesign. But that's pretty much it with this article. Hey, as the elder brother in North Carolina, Hawaii, says all the time, hey, doom and gloom. And that's all that's coming for Egypt. This is Isaiah chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 7. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth. All the merry-hearted do sigh. And all you got to do is go to social media, any platform at this point, and see that countless number of Americans are mourning and crying about the current economic situation of things, working 2 to 3 jobs with nothing to show for it, having to sacrifice, meals to either pay for the gas so they can get to work. It's just a complete shit show. The mirth of the tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. And, with this past Christmas, you had a bunch of people also take to social media saying, Christmas just doesn't feel like Christmas anymore. There's nothing to be merry-hearted or have a good time about. People are cash-strapped out here and heavily depressed. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Instead of drinking and doing drugs to have a good time, people are doing it to drown out the sorrow of their current situation. The city of confusion is broken down. And Babylon is Babal in the Hebrew, which means confusion by mixing. And another name for America in the scriptures is Babylon the Great. The city of confusion of America. Babylon is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. Going back to that Ecclesiastes, the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding or working is low, and the grinders being few. Businesses shutting down, laying off workers, people losing their jobs, and AI and automation, further taking people's jobs, playing back into what? All the merry-hearted sighing and the mirth of the tabrets ceasing, and people drinking wine because of their bitter lives. And what this is further going to lead into is people turning against the government and these corporations. I saw a video recently where a guy was talking about automation and said, people think AI and robots are cute now until they see how much they lose their jobs and livelihoods from it. And people are going to start hating these robots and what? Smashing these robots and what? Going against those that put these policies in place. Which brings us to 2 Esdras chapter 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men. And sedition means conduct or speech inciting open rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And who are your modern day kings and princes? These people in the government. The mayor, the governor, the senators, the president, and the authorities that uphold the system, like the police or the military. And then we can already see with these recent instances that have happened with ICE, and a lot of people are already in that seditious spirit towards Nero 47's government. I saw a clip of a guy saying that, look, we can't wait to the midterms. We got to skip the ballot box for the bullet box. So, hey, as brothers say, it's up there and it's stuck there. And on top of civil unrest, economic woes are just going to further play into this sedition. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. But that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah.